Yo, what's going on, guys? Zebs here, also known as Hayden, bringing you a highly requested tutorial this week. And as you may know, Nick and I have switched to webcam, so we're going to be having webcams on our tutorials from now on since I recently got one. So leave a comment down below on what you think of that. So the topic I'll be going over this week will be how to do basic backings for banners. A lot of people tell me how do they do backings and things like that, which, I mean, I can understand it's a difficult kind of thing to learn, but I hope this tutorial will help you guys out a little bit who don't know how to do it or consistently make a good looking backing. So I guess let me explain a couple things. So right here, once you have your render, some of you guys may have seen it if you watched the speed art I did a little bit ago, or yesterday. I did change it a little bit just for the circumstances of this, and for the sake of the tutorial. So I guess in this case right here, you'd add your color correction before you started working on your backing, but since for the sake of the tutorial, for you guys to understand what I'm doing and things like that, and so you guys can see, I'm not going to add a color correction, so it might not look like, wow, that's an awesome banner. But if once you add your color correction with this backing, I think it'll look nice depending on your color correction skills and whatnot. So this week, I thought I would just use my free pack that I released 2 videos ago. Again, if you don't have it, why not? It's free. Go download it. So I'm going to be using everything in here. So if you guys do want to follow along and things like that, you can. So let's get started. Why not? So to start off with, we're going to be closing our Steam. We don't want that. So to start off with, we're going to be doing, I always start off personally with smoke, because with a color correction and just a plain black background, it's kind of boring, and smoke gives it a little bit more detail and things you can do. So to start off with, I always like to do a simple, just plain backing smoke. So number 9, if you are using this pack, number 9 is a very good start to get your backing ready. So just kind of duplicate it so it's halfway on, halfway on both sides. And once we lower the opacity down to 20% or so, with the color correction, it's obviously a lot lower. It gives it a good detail on the background and such. So once we've done that, what we're going to do next is we're going to add a number 10. This is kind of like the smoke that's like, it's mostly like noticeable. This one kind of goes over the render, and you just kind of lower the opacity on it just for blending purposes and whatnot. Well, I mean, I guess it depends. You can have it in front of the render or behind the render, but I guess for the sake of the render I made here, it would look much better on the back of it, just to give it more detail and whatnot. So then we duplicate it and then edit, transform, horizontal, because mostly we just want this piece right here. So something like that, that'll give it a good backing for smoke and whatnot. So once we've done that, we're going to get a number 11. This is a very dim smoke. I don't know how many packs have it. I just know I include it with all of my packs just because it's such an awesome smoke texture. So I'm going to set this to 100% so you can see it. And what I do is I basically set it like this, and then I duplicate it and go flip vertical. And I have it very less on top than I do at the bottom. So once I've done this, we're just going to lower the opacity down to something along the lines of this, 20 or maybe 15, just so parts of it are brighter than some of the other parts, just to give them more detail and whatnot. Like I might bring down this one just a little bit more, just to give more color, more whites and whatnot. And I guess at the end of this tutorial, I may just quickly add a color correction to it just to see. Maybe not. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. But once we've done that, what we're going to do next is we're going to get 13. This is another smoke that kind of just goes behind your render. It's not really too important. It's optional. This one, just lower the opacity down again. This one kind of just blends in with the last one we used. So, yeah, I guess there's that. So as you can see here, without the color correction or anything like that, just pure smoke, you can see that once we do add a color correction, there'll be a lot of things you can notice. Sorry about that. You'll notice that once you add the color correction, it's not just going to be a blank black background. It won't be boring or anything. There'll be different shades of colors and whatnot, or gray, I guess, color in the backing, so that it gives it more blending skills and gives you more options to blend your render together. Now obviously right now this render isn't blended with the background at all. You could tell that I just put an image over it, which in this case I did. But once you add a color correction, you add the next step, which I'm about to show you, all that stuff, it'll start coming together a lot nicely with stocks and things like that. Now if you guys do want a stock tutorial, I can do a tutorial on that, teach you guys how to work stocks and things like that to blend it with your render. Which I might do that because a lot of people struggle on blending stocks and renders together and whatnot. So once we've done that, I always love to do particles next. Particles just gives it some stuff in the background, just to give it some detail and things like that, so it's not just smoke. So for particles, I start off with some clean, basic, hard to see particles, just nothing too like crazy. And then these are above the smoke, so yeah, keep that in mind. So I'm going to set the opacity on these to 60. It depends, like, this is just my kind of preset thing, what I do on most banners, these kind of stuff. But, I mean, if you guys do want to mess around with different smokes and particles, you can create your own presets. So once I've done this, I have basically the same thing, but it's thicker, and there's a lot more going on in this particle set. So I'm going to lower the opacity on this one a bunch, so it's just very, 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 very visible, or very, like, you understand what I'm saying. Kind of hard to see, kind of there, you know. So once we've done that, we're going to add number 5, which this is kind of our render stuff. So it's going to be going behind the render, and it's going to be like popping out like so. So like this kind of. It's just barely showing, like half of it showing, both sides duplicates it, things like that. So once we've done this, I'm just going to keep going down the list for particles that I like. And I guess it gives you a good preview of what's in this pack if you haven't downloaded it yet. Now this one's kind of like a trickier one. This is like something that you'd have on like 20% opacity just to give it some more depth with the particles and whatnot. So this one, just lower a bunch, just so it's very, very, or barely visible. That's what I'm trying to, yeah, can't talk, guys. But as you can see, it gives it a little bit more detail in the background and gives it more depth, so it's a thicker, more denser particle source. 12, this one, a lot of people overlook it, but there's a lot of potential in these particles, or this stock particle, just due to the fact of how it is and with the blurriness and stuff. So basically what I just did is I just copied it, duplicated it, flipped it, put it on both sides, and some of the particles towards the top get blurry and these ones sharpens, which is awesome. I love that. And we're just going to lower the opacity on this one just so it's barely visible, so something like this. So right off the bat, guys, you can easily tell that there's a lot of particles, there's a lot of smoke and whatnot. So once you do add the color correction, you'll notice that there's a lot of cool, like, backing stuff that's going on, and it's not just a blank, boring black background. There's actually a lot happening in the background, and it's cool looking. So this one, thicker materials, I just kind of duplicated it, lowered the opacity. As you can see here, it gives some thicker circle, like, particles look to it, and more thinner ones, things like that. So once we've done that, I mean, you could just put an endless amount if you wanted, but I mean, I kind of like to keep my stuff a little bit restricted. I don't want to go ham on it, but I mean, just keep going down, find stuff you want. This is a pretty good render particle. And after doing this while, you'll learn what's good and what's not good for particles and whatnot. So something like this. So as you can see, guys, here, let me just quickly get a color correction going, I guess. So as you can see, guys, from looking at this, you can tell there's a lot of grays, there's a lot of different shades of whites, grays, and blacks and whatnot. So that gives it a good thingy to it. Whoops, I just downloaded something, I guess. So let me just quickly get a, I don't know, let's get a purple, I guess. Just use the same color correction I used for this. So if I put it over, and then let me just remove the hue and saturation. As you can see, guys, there's a lot going well, alright, without the color correction, you can see there's a lot more going on, but with this kind of color correction, you can see there's still stuff going on. It's just a little bit harder to see with this color correction, and over YouTube downgrading the quality, but there's stuff there, and I mean, even if you guys want it, they're all layers. You can edit it if you want. You can make all of the opacity higher to maybe 40%, you know? That's a little bit much, actually. Let's maybe do 20. Let's do 16. Alright, just so you guys can see it better. But you can see there's particles, things like that, and it's not just a black background. You can see the smoke still there, so it gives it different shades and whatnot, and particles and whatnot. So it's all very like blended together well. And I mean, after that, you could start doing your stocks. You could do your lighting and whatnot. So I guess for lighting, you know, you could just do it white if you want. Boom, you know, lower the opacity, got your light source, you know, you're good to go to continue on with your banner. But hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial on how to do a backing. This was a heavily requested tutorial, which I can understand why. It's a little bit difficult concept to understand, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Here's what it looks like without the render, which I think this might be the thumbnail. So you can see all the particles and all that stuff, different shades and whatnot. But I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial for the 3rd time. I like to do that in my tutorials for some reason, say thank you 3 times. I don't know why. I've been your host today, Zebs, also known as Hayden, and leave a like and comment down below what you guys want me to do for next week and things like that. Peace.